Hello, Facebook. Henry, do you want to come say hi to Facebook? You are? Well, I was going to have Henry come say hi. Come here. You say hi?
Hi.
Say, how are you?
How are you?
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Say, I love Goff Legal.
I love Goff Legal.
That's pretty close. All right, go inside, kiddo. Welcome. Thought you guys would want to peek at the other child. In case you're joining us for the first time, my name's Ali. I am the owner of Goff Legal. You probably can't hear anything I'm saying because my child is screaming. We'll go somewhere else. Aren't children fun? Anyways, what I was saying, I am the owner of Goff Legal. I'm an estate planning, probate, and trust administration attorney in Rockland, and I am doing a Facebook Live today on what is included in a probate, or what's the process for probate, because a lot of people are worried about probate, and so I thought I'd probably demystify a few things for people so that they can kind of have some more information before they decide what they want to do. So the first thing is, probate in California is a court-supervised process that requires an administrator or an executor to be appointed to take over a decedent's affairs. So if someone passes away with a will or without a trust or without anything, without any estate planning documents, we administer the estate to make sure that everything is done according to the requirements. Hey Miriam, thanks for joining us. So the first thing we do is we gather all the information. We find out if there's a will. If there is, we lodge the will. That has to be done within 30 days of death. That's for anyone. Any original will has to be lodged regardless of who's holding it. Then, if the will appoints someone, we file that and we file a petition and we say we want this person to be appointed. We provide notice to all the beneficiaries and all of the heirs. And then, hey Heather, thanks for joining. We provide all the notice, and that takes probably, I would say, a month from the time that we actually meet with them to like file everything, because sometimes you have to get documents, you have to find out what assets are in their possession, what they have, so we know what we're probating. Then we file things. If you're lucky, you get a hearing within 6 weeks. And if you're unlucky, or you're in the county of Sacramento, it could be 3 months before you get a hearing. So between the time that someone passes and the time someone actually has authority to act on their behalf, could take over 4 months. I think LA County is like 6 months out. And with the COVID, the courts were shut down for the last 2 months, which means everything is now backlogged an additional 2 months, which is horrible, and takes even more time than it did before. So I certainly don't want anyone to go through that process. In the meantime, someone's got to pay the bills for that 4 months. If there's a mortgage, someone's got to pay the mortgage. And you can't necessarily just go in and get the bank account. It's sort of locked up because there's no one in charge. So it's kind of this catch-22 of the families left trying to deal with all of that. So then we also publish in the newspaper. So anyone who doesn't want their public information probably shouldn't have their will probated, because their name and the hearing date and all of that gets filed. And then everything in the probate file is public record. So anyone at any time could go get a copy of the probate file and look at all the information that's there. After someone's appointed, we help them basically marshal all the assets, put them all into one place, sell the real estate if needed, and then file another petition at the very end to say, you know, here's what I'd like to do, here's who the money goes to. In that in-between period, creditors have an opportunity to file claims to say, the decedent owed me money and I would like to be paid. And so we have to wait 4 months from opening to closing at a minimum to make sure that creditors have enough time to file their claims. And if they file their claims in time and there's enough money to pay them, we pay them. That's just how that works. And if they don't file it in time, they miss their window, you don't have to pay the creditor. So that's actually a benefit to probate, is that you can actually get rid of creditors by providing them with adequate notice and having them fail to file a timely creditor's claim. And then again, we file a petition, another 6 weeks to get a hearing. I think one of our hearings down in Orange County took, I think, 4 months just to get a hearing date. So we filed the petition. They said, okay, we'll see you in 4 months. So we just sort of sat there, and none of the beneficiaries can get their money during that waiting period. Actually, none of the beneficiaries really get any of their money during this whole time period. People often ask, what's the estimate for a probate to be closed? If you are super, super lucky, it's a year. Super lucky. It's probably closer to 2, maybe longer now, given the COVID shutdowns and all the delays. So I certainly don't wish that on anyone. And then finally, after everything's distributed, we file a petition to discharge the executor or the administrator. So, and, that's the other good question people always ask. How much money does it cost? And I ran a couple calculations. If you have a house worth $300,000, and if you're in Placer County, I'll bet you it's worth more than that. The attorney fees alone are $9,000 to probate that. That doesn't include the realtor fees. That doesn't include the court fees, the filing fees, the appraisal fees, the publication fees. That's probably another $2,000. And then the executor can get another $9,000. So if you can do math, and I can't, that's probably about $20,000 in fees for a house worth $300,000. And the important thing to remember here is the calculation is based on the value of the property, not the underlying equity. So if you're like, well, my house only has $50,000 of equity. Well, unfortunately, the attorneys and the executor and the state of California random entities just took 20 of your 50 instead of having it go through another process. And then my favorite question, how do I not go through that process? How do I not let my family have to go through a probate? And that is to get a trust. If you have real property, you need to have it in a trust or some other entity so it can be transferred on death without going through the court supervised process. Or if you have, cash assets or investment accounts, you can list beneficiaries, and those would avoid probate. If you have life insurance and those have valid living beneficiaries, those don't go through probate. So there's some really great ways to avoid probate, avoid that whole delay, avoid that whole time process. A lot of the attorney fees can be reduced. They can't be avoided necessarily. A lot of times attorneys are helpful at the back end to kind of, guide the trustee or the family members in how to collect all the assets. But it certainly can be reduced. And the time, really, it's the time and the privacy that are the big things that can be reduced if you have a trust. So that's it. That's my primer on probate in California under our current restrictions. And I hope that's helpful. If you have questions, feel free to email the office, info@Goff Legal. We can get you set up with a consult, or if it's just a regular question you have for Facebook Live, send it in and I will answer it next week. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.